who you are and how all this relates to being secular.
My grandparents on both sides were religious Jews. They were pretty devout. My parents were what I call Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur Jews, just the whole high holidays. Otherwise on Shabbos, they wouldn't go to synagogue. I went to Hebrew school. I learned a little bit of Yiddish, a little bit of Hebrew. I forgot most of it, but I have a few words. I was bar mitzvahed at age 13, which I think is a little too young to confirm people, because I don't think you reach the age of reason when you're 13. When I was 15 or 16, I read David Hume's Inquiry Concerning Natural Religion, and it sort of blew me away. I stopped believing in God. David Hume really ripped into this idea, how come that if God is benevolent and omnipotent, how come there's so much misery? Maybe there are many gods. Maybe a baby God made this earth and went on to make better earths elsewhere. So I just stopped being a religious person at around age 13. The next episode in my life of relevance to secular humanism is I was converted by Ayn Rand and Nathaniel Brannan to libertarianism, maybe age 20 or 19. I was a senior in college. And one of the things I don't like about secular humanists is that most of them are pinko, commie, lefty types. I was invited.
I wish you wouldn't say that, but go ahead.
Well, I think it's true. I was invited to speak at the Secular Humanist Society of San Francisco, and when they heard that I was a libertarian, there was a big fight as to whether I should be disinvited, because, obviously the libertarian can't be a secular humanist because, they're all lefties. Happily, it's not true. Certainly, I feel welcome in the New Orleans Secular Humanist, and in the San Francisco, they finally undisinvited me, so I'm now scheduled to speak. I happen to be a very pro-religious atheist.
What does that mean?
Why am I pro-religious? The reason I'm pro-religious is because I don't really see religion as a problem. Everyone talks about the, what was that stuff where the Catholics were killing people?
The Inquisition.
Inquisition. They think that, zillions of people were killed in the Inquisition, but the Inquisition took place over, 400 years, and the best estimates for the number of people killed was something like 3,000 or 8,000, something like that. Whereas the real enemies of humanism or of people are governments, mainly communist governments, and I go by the argument that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I asked, well, what was Stalin's view on religion? And it was vicious. He just tried to kill all religious people and stamp out religion. So the reason I'm pro-religious is because there are really three institutions that vie for the loyalty of the people. One is religion, the other is family, and the third is government. And if the government is against the family, and the communists are always telling kids to tattle on their parents, to break up the family, even government in the U.S. With its welfare programs is acting so as to break up the family. The black family, for example, is not broken up, but it hardly forms because of welfare and other things like that. So I am a wild favorite of religion. I now teach at Loyola University, New Orleans, which is a Jesuit university, and I feel very comfortable there. I don't feel that the Jesuits are evil or anything, or Catholics are evil, or any religious people are evil. To me, the government is the evil one. Now, what is my life like now? Every once in a while I go to a Seder, which is a Jewish holiday celebration, and I sort of feel torn because I want to tell the younger people in my family, well, religion is bunk. On the other hand, everyone will get ticked off at me if I do, which doesn't stop me. I usually do it, but I alienate people, and I have lots of fun that way, because one of the things I enjoy most is alienating people and having disputes and, settling things. Not fisticuffs, but rational
and the conclusion of such occasions is, and do you win them over, or do you come to some truce, or you walk away out the same door you came in?
Well, you win some, you lose some. You alienate some, you don't alienate others. But even more important to me than converting my younger members of my family to atheism is to convert them to libertarianism, because I think libertarianism, political freedom or economic freedom, is more important than the religious issue. I think the religious issue is less important now than the government. Again, if you just use as an objective criteria how many people are being murdered by which institution, well, religions aren't murdering too many people nowadays. A few. In history, a few, or a few hundred 100,000, but governments in the last century, I think they murdered, and this is not wars, apart from wars which governments engage in. I think that the number is 176 million people that governments of their own citizens killed. So I think government is by far and away the most outrageous evil, and that's what I devote my life to undermining.
Hear everything you're saying, not necessarily agreeing with it. But we're living in a country where the government, we probably have a terrible government, but better than all the rest. And we do have a constitution with a Bill of Rights, which does allow your concern with personal freedoms, and the First Amendment, does give us a lot of freedoms, including the freedom of religion, which can be interpreted and has been interpreted by the courts as freedom from religion. So we're living in even though our government is not ideal, we are living in fairly agreeable circumstances under this government.
Well, a lot of people are fond of saying that we're the freest country in the world. According to statistical analyses, some of which I've published, we're about the 6th freest country in the world, both economically and politically. Other countries like Hong Kong, Singapore, New Zealand, Switzerland are freer than us on certain criteria. And you're right. Domestically, we do have it pretty good, but the U.S. is one of the most murderous countries in the world.
When you mean individual murder of persons against persons, or what?
No, what I mean is the U.S. has, 800 military bases in about 120 different foreign countries. We're the biggest imperialist warmonger of any country. No other country has anything like that. My most recent book is on why we should privatize highways. Do you know how many people die on the goddamn U.S. highways? 40,000 people a year.
I didn't know that God had damned the highways.
Yes,
go ahead.
God has damned public highways because they kill 40,000 people a year. To put this in perspective, how many people died in 9/11 in the World Trade Center? Only about 3,000. How many people died in 9/11 around here? Only 1,500 to 1,800 people. 40,000 people a year die, and that's not even in the statistics that I quoted before. So the U.S. is a murderous, whether purposeful or not purposeful, they're a murderous institution, and what we ought to do is use every bit of our strength to oppose it.
To add to what you were saying, I'm looking at an article here that says, it says, bringing an end to religion is an impossible goal, but it says much of the developed world has nearly accomplished it. Norway, Iceland, Australia, Canada, Sweden, Switzerland, Belgium, Japan, the Netherlands, Denmark, and the United Kingdom are among the least religious societies on earth, according to the United Nations Human Development Report. They are also the healthiest, as indicated by life expectancy, adult literacy, per capita income, educational attainment, gender equality, homicide rate, and infant mortality. So what they're saying here is that the lesser religious a country is, the better lives people are living there. And so you are anti-government. Why do you not have the same feeling as anti-religion?
Well, first of all, we don't know whether this is because of or in spite of. Maybe these countries are better off in spite of the fact that they're losing out on religion. I think I'm very ambivalent about this. I think maybe it's not such a great idea because, again, human beings need to have some sort of focus of loyalty, and it's mainly religion, family, and government. And if you reduce religion, then you increase government, and government is clear evil, whereas it's not so clear to me that religion is such an evil. I think religion plays a very important role in substituting for the family. You know, like when you move to a different city, if you don't have family with you and you go to a church, well, you have a sort of a substitute family. You have 300 friends in your church or your synagogue or your mosque or whatever it is. So I stick to my pro-religious atheism.
Right.
I think religion is a good institution for people who swallow those lies, but what the heck, let them swallow those lies. They're not that harmful. Whereas a lot of secular humanists and a lot of people around here swallow the lies that somehow government is good and free enterprise is bad, and that is much more pernicious.
As I explained at the opening of this program, we do come in a variety of kinds, and Walter Block is one of the kinds. And I've been looking at Ricky and Mike, who have listened, I think, with